Thank you, Natasha, for having us in your studio.
Of course.
The place where you create all the magic.
Thank you.
Inspired by nature, right?
Yeah, very. It's being in Miami, it's hard not to be inspired by nature.
Yeah,
it's all around us.
You were born in Belarus, raised in Nebraska, and you landed in Miami.
Yes.
With this beautiful landscape, how this has inspired you to keep creating work?
And so a brief background. Yeah, I was born in Belarus, and I immigrated as a young child with my whole family, and we landed in Nebraska. Funny enough, just through the settlement process, and I was in Nebraska for 15 years. I grew up there. Great place to raise a family, but it wasn't like my parents never made me stay there. They were always like, get out, go find yourself, go do whatever you want to do. I was really, really lucky to have such supportive parents. And I worked really hard in high school, and I landed a full ride to University of Miami. So I moved to Miami when I was 18 to actually pursue history and public relations as a secondary degree to please my parents because they were like, you can do history, but please get something else just in case. And yeah, I moved to Miami and I fell in love. I mean, I remember visiting here when I was 17, and I didn't even visit before I applied, which was crazy enough. I just kind of got here and I was like, I love it. I can be here. And fast forward, I spent 4 years at the University of Miami. I got a history degree, a public relations degree, and a minor in gender studies. So it was very, very random, nothing to do with art or my chosen career, really. And I was really lucky enough that I met my mentor when I was 18, when I was doing undergrad studies at UM, and he was somebody that was a magazine designer. He's somebody that's done Nat Geo and Boston Globe. He was somebody that was really specialized in layout design. So when I took one of his classes, it was the hardest class I've ever taken. It was like I spent so much time in this graphic design class for something that I wasn't even very good at. And my professor kind of was like, I think web design should be your thing. I think that you have an eye for layout. But this was 2012, 2011. So, the print industry was dying, and he, for a stable future forward-thinking job, he recommended that I get into coding and start doing web design, web layout, and he actually hired me to make the yearbook's website. So I credit Stano for hiring me when I was 18 to build a website, and it was just really easy. Both my parents are programmers, actually. They're both mathematicians, they do heavy programming, like algorithms, and my dad works for the biggest info and data corporation in the U.S., and my mother was she works for a banking corporation. So they're doing, I can never dream of what they do, right? They're looking at pages and pages and pages of code. And I funnily enough just picked up doing front-end web development, and I spent my whole college career freelancing as a web developer and a web designer. And doing so, by the time I got out of school, I was 22, and I realized I didn't want to work a full-time job or anything. And I remember I had a job where I was working in an agency doing websites, and I was sitting on the bay, I could look out the window. And I was looking at the ocean every single day from Coconut Grove. And I just every day I was why am I inside this building? I could be outside. It was just so weird. But every day I'd be looking at my computer, looking over my computer to the outside. And I was like, there's gotta be a better way. I live in Miami. This is crazy to me that I have to spend my days when it's noon, watching the sunset. I was just this is so wild to me. And so I kind of took the full plunge because I realized if I kept building corporate websites, I was gonna go nuts. It wasn't it's not a sustainable creative passion. And I basically started using my coding from websites to start making art. And I would just Google things, and basically my first project, which we'll see later, is a kaleidoscope. And that took me 6 months to build it. It was I remember the first day I got it to work was the most I was I can't believe I did it. It was, and what's funny is it's really simple. It's not that difficult code. It's it's HTML and CSS. Some of the girls watching this are probably much more developed coders than I am. What I do is very basic.
So how do you pick all these programming skills, or you look for programs? Because there are different kinds of digital art,
Sure.
And technology is changing every single day.
Definitely.
And we are finding new ways of creating. How do you do it?
This is the most powerful time to be a digital creator, honestly. Especially, with this pandemic going on, I taught myself everything I know by reading it on the internet. I didn't, and granted, when I was an undergrad, I took classes at UM that were master's level classes for fun. I was in the good graces with my program leader, so they just kind of let me explore. They're people believed in me. Ultimately, I think I was really lucky that people allowed me to pursue what I wanted to pursue. So it's with code and everything, you could just Google it. Like, it's so crazy. But like with the kaleidoscopes, I was Googling things and then I was putting that together with something else. And then I would Google something else. And it's like, you can just hodgepodge things. And what's really beautiful about the internet is it's so open source. And people are really like willing to share. Like, honestly, you can, like, people will answer your question. Like, you'll be like, I can't get this thing to click, but I know the code looks like this. And someone, just by the niceness of them, will respond to you and be like, it's because you forgot a semicolon.
Yeah,
you know?
creating digital art is like a different way of engaging with your audience.
Definitely.
Because it's more interactive, it's faster, the way you can transmit it to more people.
Yes.
It's not like when you have just a painting in a museum and that's it. Only the people that go to the museum just see the work.
Definitely.
So you are taking that to the advantage and creating not only like specific art pieces for a wall, but in different applications, in corporations, public installations.
Yeah.
What kind of works have you been working on lately?
So, well, yeah, with this pandemic, it's been interesting. But before I was, like, that's the beauty of digital art and video art is like, and this is not a knock on any other type of art, like to each their own. I really got into video art just because, honestly, I didn't want to learn how to use like editing and programs. Like, I didn't want to spend 1,000 hours learning about After Effects or this. And because I knew coding, I figured if I just like, I don't know, if I just made it up, if I just figured it out by this weird other way that it would work. And in doing so, it created all these weird mathematical like video pieces that no one else does. And not to say nobody else could do it. Like, you know, it's code, it's open, it's out there. Anybody can build things. But like what I found, it's really weird because it's so based in nature. All of my video pieces are rooted in, like, I spend a lot of time looking at the clouds. A lot. Like, it's really what inspires me. It's what gets me going. Like, the temporary nature around us is like what inspires me. Like looking at plants, all the fractals on them. Like, that's why I make fractal art. And so to have, like, there's a scene in there that you'll see, which is like, it's just a bumblebee on a flower, but it's fractalized. And so, like, as the bee flies in and out, the fractals are moving in and out. And like, just something about that, it's so natural. It's so weird. It's like so not organically organic. And I've found that like the way I reacted to it, other people do too. So I have found this like community of people that see it and are like excited by it. And so I've been able to use my video art for, like, I had a video art license with W Hotels. I had all my video art across the world in their lobbies for 2 years. That was like a really powerful commission piece. And it just like it just happened. Like, I met the head design director for them, and she just loved my stuff. She loved clouds too. Like, it's the amount of people I work with because they also love clouds is crazy. It's a thing we all bond over.
Yeah, nature is an inspiration for all of us.
Nature is an inspiration, yeah. And when you find somebody that so purely feels that way about it, you're like, let's make it happen. So I've been able to use my art in corporations. I work in the hospitality industry a lot, especially pre-pandemic. I was doing a lot of events for hotels. So I would, like, specifically in Miami, I work with one hotel and Soho Beach House and Faina a lot. And I miss them. I'd love to do installations again soon. But, I was able to take my video art and make projections. I'm able to activate TV screens. We're like, with video art, I really think the sky's the limit. Like, you can project on whatever you want. You can project on a curtain. I projected on trees before. Like, there's something about how we, like, if we can take spaces and engage with them with digital art in a way nobody else has seen before, I think that's really powerful. And I think people are looking for that, like brands and corporations and events. Like, I work very heavily in the music industry because I find out at events, people want to listen to music, but also want to sit down and take in something. You know, kind of like there's just to be able to engage in something and get lost. And with the kaleidoscopes and things I make, it's like, because it's code generative, nothing ever repeats. So you're able to really like watch it for 15 minutes and nothing's the same. And there's something that like is hypnotizing about it.
Yeah, tell me about a little bit more about the kaleidoscope project, because a lot of girls with code art have been inspired, and it's a big inspiration.
Thank you. Yeah, no, and it's cool because I showed my kaleidoscopes for the first time with code art 3 years ago, actually, at the symposium. And so, yeah, the kaleidoscope project, as I mentioned, started because I just really wanted to make art. Like, I really wanted to find a way to make coded art, and in a way that was new and interactive. Like, kaleidoscopes are not new. They've been around for, like, I don't even know, hundreds and thousands of years. And, and from the more traditional sense of like physical kaleidoscopes. And I actually remember going, when I was in Japan a few years ago with my parents, we went to a kaleidoscope museum, and it was like hundreds of kaleidoscopes, and it was just so cool. And I remember being so excited by that and like watching oil move across, like there's something so physical about it that I'd never seen in a digital version. Like I'd seen digital kaleidoscopes, but I'd never seen something that made me stop and be like, that's it. And so I guess in doing so, I was really making something to satisfy myself. Like I just wanted to see it. It wasn't for anybody else. It honestly was not at all. And once I made it, I was just so excited about it that at the time, I had just started dating my boyfriend who's a musician, and he saw it and he asked me what my application was, and it was a website. Like that's how I build these kaleidoscopes. They're entirely front end generated code. It's HTML and CSS. It's so simple. It's crazy. And he ended up, him and his partner bought my kaleidoscope as a website. And so I was able to do my first kaleidoscope as a job. I mean, I turned it into a job, I should say. And then from there, I used that to show other people that I could do it. And I started working with this really famous neon artist named Olivia Steele because she saw my kaleidoscope website and she was like, I want a kaleidoscope too. And so it was just like, it was so crazy how organic it was that people saw it and connected with it and wanted to see their own. And I mean, I won't give away my secret, but I spent so long on it that now I can make a kaleidoscope in like minutes. It's like now I've gotten to the point, but that's what's so special about the code is now that it exists, I can just plug and play.
And so you're able to create anything with the coding, and you get to different results.
Yeah, so anything could be a kaleidoscope, which for me is really exciting because sometimes, like, I'll be honest, I just make kaleidoscopes. I'll spend a day like making different kaleidoscopes. And because it's all mathematical, like the current kaleidoscope, this is where it gets nerdy. The current kaleidoscope set is at like 14 slices. So when you see it, if you can remember 14, you'll see how it's all cut up. But like you can change that anywhere from 0 to 20. So you could have 20 slices, you could have 5 slices, and every single different set looks totally different, the way it interacts, you know? And I think that's what's exciting for me is with code, I can take it, I can literally delete a number, change a number, and I'll see the action immediately. Versus something like more traditional video art rendering programs that are not code generative, like After Effects or Premiere, or any other million ways you could do it. Like I did not have the patience to sit there and watch things render for 3 hours to hate what it looks like. And that's the truth of the matter is because like now, fast forward 6 years, I do both. Like I have to use coding and After Effects in these programs. And my note to like, if people are interested in code is like, do it, dude. Just start building stuff. And like, you don't even have to show people. Like I build so much stuff, I don't show anybody, but maybe 3 years down the line, it'll go into a project that I use. Like coding is modular. So you can like use what you built in so many different ways. Like that's, I think, the coolest thing about it.
And that happens with technology. It's growing up so fast that there's so many possibilities. I think with kids right now, they're
so lucky.
I know. And we're getting ready kids for careers that we don't know they exist because technology is going so fast.
And they need to be ready. Like ultimately,
that's the importance of learning coding.
Yeah, well, and just technology in general. I think I will say this pandemic has taught me to stay flexible, right? Because even and that's like I do a lot of different art projects, and I'm finding that like a lot of things that I was banking on, right? Things that was totally working, like things that I've been making my income and I've been doing for 5 years have now gone away because of nothing in our control. But coding has been an incredible skill set I've fallen back on because I mean that's why I use coding for everything. I make video art, but I also make animations. So like people hire me to make animations for content all the time. So like this summer I've kept myself afloat by people like just asking me, hey, I have this image, can you make it cool? And it's like I can apply so many of my different styles to that. So like I will say, I can always, my father would be proud to hear this, but I can fall back on building websites and stuff. Like coding is a skill that allows me to like live my life creatively, but also professionally in a way that like I have something to fall back on. I'm at the end of the day, if I wanted to go get a job making websites, I could.
Okay, Natasha. So if you can pick one advice for the girls to use coding to be a professional artist, what would you tell these girls?
So I think as far as like learning about code, just learn it. Like there's so many skills you can pick up that like you don't know how it will influence you in the future. Maybe you'll want to like I wish I knew how to build something with screens so that I could build my own digital screen. But I don't know how to do that, right? Like that's on me. I probably should learn it. But like if I had those skills or maybe if I'd grown up 10 years earlier and had more time on the internet with all this stuff, like I could be building my own stuff. Like there's something so cool about being self-sufficient in your own ideas, like if you can execute them. So like if you have these really awesome code or you just want to build something, like to be able just to build it on yourself and just to do it is so powerful. Like I honestly, I spend so much time on the internet reading about things. I'm like, wow, it's as simple as that. And I think that the way that like, especially young girls' brains are right now, they're so malleable to that. Like like you should learn while you have the chance.
Well, I think they have to start using technology in a wise way.
Yeah,
Kids,
yeah.
because they spend so much time in other ways that I think that would be the smart way to use technology, because we have it and it's the future.
It's the future, and that's a really good point, is that it's different getting stuck on your phone and on social media or whatever, or like on the internet in any way. But if you can find an engaging way to grow, like, I promise you, whatever you're scrolling about or thinking about now won't matter in 5 years. Like, if you can invest in yourself, like honestly invest in yourself and just believe in yourself, and like spend the hours and hours and hours it takes to learn coding, and be frustrated, and like that moment, like that first moment when it clicks is like such a special feeling that I'm smiling thinking about it, because I'm like, wow, I remember when that kaleidoscope worked and I was like, I could do anything. Like there's something really cool about that. And I think that if young girls can find that in themselves over other things, like your future will be a lot easier.
I agree with you. Well, Natasha, thank you so much for having us. Thank you.